Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We're here with Aero today. Aero is a laminetic horse that we've been treating with some wooden clogs. He's responded extremely well to the wooden clogs, but today we're looking to transition him out of them clogs into something different. So we're going to be transitioning him into former hoof. So let's get on with it. Right.
It needs to be out to be moving.
Yeah.
We don't have yet a dry paddock.
Right.
We've tried to sort it out.
Okay, so these clogs have now been on for 7 weeks. They've stayed on very well, and they've still got that nice bevel. But what the hoof has now done is grown. We've got a lot of growth, which is exactly what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to achieve that solar depth, which this horse was lacking. So by leaving these clogs on for an extended period of time, this 7 weeks, hopefully we've been able to stop the sole from exfoliating any sole, and also encourage that blood circulation with the horse moving in order to stimulate growth. So we're just going to remove the cast and have a little look at the hoof. I'll put it down in a second once we've got this cast off here. But there's no adhesive other than the cast's own ability to adhere to the hoof. So it should just come off nice and easily. So what we're seeing here is this is the dental impression material. So this is a nice soft material that he's actually standing on. And because the clog is a flat shoe or flat surface, we can get a nice base of that dental impression for the horse to stand on. So he gets that even weight distribution across the back half of the foot. So it stops here. Actually corresponds to where the tip of the pedal bone is. So it supports the pedal bone from underneath and all the way back, and doesn't put any pressure on the front of the foot. We want a good hoof pastern axis. We don't want to see a broken back hoof pastern axis because he's got a long toe, because what that'll do is it'll put more pressure on the flexor tendon, which will put more pull on the pedal bone that's wanting to rotate. So we're always conscious of the angles of the hoof. One of the things the clog allows us to do is to put that angle or address that angle with the how much elevation is in the clog, but also because it is a wooden clog, it's it's easy to wear it down. The horse will naturally wear his own comfort or stance into the clog. If you have a look at the clog that's just come off, you can see where the dental impression material is filled, all the grooves within inside the foot. So we've got the medial and lateral clefts of the frog and the central sulci of the frog, really sort of dispersing all that weight bearing across the back, the entire back of the half of the foot. Okay, so one of the main things that we're putting the clog on for is to try and encourage some sole thickness. I think now, having a look at this foot, look how healthy them bars are looking, how strong they're looking, and how much sole we've actually got, which is brilliant to see, considering that was one of the main problems this horse was facing, is the fact that he's such a big horse and he had such thin soles. So let's give it a good clean up. Has been covered up for 7 weeks. Okay, so one of the problems that we had with this fellow was that he had a real severe case of CD toe. Or white line disease in this left leg here, or left foot, and it meant that we couldn't really apply a standard shoe. We couldn't really nail anything to his hoof wall safely that would actually stay on for a period of time. And he's actually got it on. If you come around with the camera, you can see he's got a real serious case of this white line disease on both aspects of his foot. More so on this left or this lateral wall, but it's quite extensive on the inside here too. This foot has probably grown a good inch of foot, and if you come from the lateral view again from the side, so we put this mark on the second time we applied the clogs to this guy, and this is going to be the 4th shoeing now. So 2 shoeings ago we applied this, and this was up here at the coronary band. So what we're seeing is we're getting nice hoof growth, and if you look at the angle here, we're actually getting a nice angle of growth compared to where he was at with this long sloping angle that has now got all sort of necrotic tissue underneath where he's had that delamination due to the laminitis attack. So if we're getting this good angle of growth, or we're getting hoof wall to grow at a good angle, all we can do now is support this hoof capsule and continue that until all this necrotic tissue is grown out, all this necrotic hoof wall, and what we will be left with is this nice strong hoof at a good angle. So it's just a matter of time, really. Okay, so because we do have this large area of seedy toe, I'm happy that this seedy toe is now growing out and it hasn't spread further. But what I've made sure I've done every time is to clear it out, really remove that infected tissue. This was originally probably up to around about here, so it's grown out with the hoof, and it will continue to grow out. And some people will be worried about encasing it. But what we've done the last couple of times is cover that. So cover all this infected area, and we'll do it again today with iodine-soaked cotton wool. And the beauty of what we're going to put on this foot is it'll keep that iodine and that cotton wool in this, packed into this area for the whole or the entire shoeing cycle. So really preventing that bacteria or that fungus or the seedy toe from spreading up the foot. Okay, so we've trimmed them up. We've removed a lot of that seedy toe in the toe, or that laminal stretching. You get this this laminal wedge build-up of necrotic hoof wall. So we've pulled that back a little bit. I don't want to take any sole out of here. I want to keep him nice and thick, protect that pedal bone underneath. And what we've done, we've just brought his heels back. So we've lowered that base, extended that base further back. So when he's getting plenty of support across here, it's also nice and flush with the frog. So it's really encouraging that frog to take some of that load-bearing responsibility away from the wall, and really give him that good platform to stand on. If we look at the side, you can see where we've trimmed this away. We've tried to go back to as clean horn as possible. What I'll do now is I'll quickly just dress the foot forward so it's nice and clean. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the former hoof on this horse today. The former hoof will allow us to rebuild all this area here, giving him sort of mass to the hoof wall, but also giving him a lot of protection underneath. Also, the beauty of the former hoof is it will impose that good hoof pastern axis and that good hoof angle, similar to the clog, that will hopefully continue or protect his feet, allow him to go out, do some light exercise, stimulate that hoof growth. Okay, so we're going to use this size 6 former hoof mold, front, and it's also the barefoot version. What we do is we strengthen the former hoof molds with this mesh, and if you have a closer look at this, you can see how the mesh is inside, really giving that silicone, that polyurethane, something to grip onto and giving it plenty of strength. So I'm just sizing up the mesh now. The mesh will go in the mold with the foot, and we'll pack it all in. So just want to trim it to a nice size that's going to fit, and then we'll take it over to the foot and we'll just fit it up. Okay, so we'll just mix some copper sulfate crystals. That's the blue stuff here. We've mixed that with a little bit of petroleum jelly, a bit of Vaseline. And I'm going to use this now, and I'm going to stuff all those areas where I had that bits of seedy toe, and also I'm going to put it all around the frog. So just pop that there. So where I was just debribing all that necrotic tissue, I'm just going to pack it with this copper sulfate. So the copper sulfate won't affect the polyurethane former hoof material. It'll only stick to itself anyway. So okay, so put a bit of cotton wool in there just to pack that in and keep it nice and secure. So now what we'll do, we'll pop the mesh on. I'll pop the mesh over the foot. I'm going to get him to stand into this size 6 mold here. It's quite a big mold. There we go, and get him to put his weight on it. Okay, so the mesh is... Try that again. Where's your apprentices when you need them? Right. Get him to stand in it and don't step out of it. So what we want to see is a nice bit of this mesh sticking out the back, and I will stuff all this mesh here
into the former hoof with the nozzle. I want as much mesh in there to give it all that support. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with doing the sole. So I'm going to go in. Actually, what I'm going to need is someone to hold. Could you hold the foot? Yeah. Please. It's definitely a two-man job. Okay, so I'm going to start from the toe and I'm going to work my way back. First off, I'm going to purge some material out to make sure it's mixing well. And we're watching it coming up to the hoof wall here. Once we get there, we'll move on. So you're seeing it come up to the surface, move around, and flicking it off. Okay, so we're just going to take this other clog off now, just while the former hoof on the other foot sets. Okay, so just trimming the right fore now. The right fore, slightly bigger foot, slightly less rotation of the pedal bone. But what we have got is we've got medial sinking. So as you can see here, we've got bruising on the medial part of the foot where that bone has dropped down. Probably more so because the center of mass of the horse is in the middle here, putting more pressure down on the inside of that pedal bone and on that sole. So we've just trimmed him up. I'm actually going to level his foot up and he's going to go again in the former hoof. So I'm just going to clean it up, ready to go. Yeah. Okay, so when we started, he had medial displacement, so he was sinking on the inside of this foot, and he'd already put a lot of pressure on the hoof wall, and we had a quarter crack here as well. As you can see, through stabilising the hoof capsule and with the wooden clogs, we've been able to support this crack, which has now grown out over these last 2 or 3 shoeings. So he's got a nice horn. There's no longer no crack here, and this will eventually grow out. So I'm just going to dress out a lot of this tissue, a lot of this hoof wall here. Clean it up, ready for the former hoof.
So Rachel, so this is Aero. So could you just give us a little bit of background into Aero's history and the case that we've had to deal with here?
Okay, right. So Aero historically has had several bouts of what's been told as being laminitis. He's been tested for Cushing's, which came back negative. He's been tested for EMS, which came back positive. And subsequently, over a period of time, his feet have deteriorated to the point where he could no longer hold a shoe, which left me with the option of doing a bit of research and finding alternative methods to support his foot and provide more comfort for his sole. So with the help of Alex, he suggested the Steward clog, which I wasn't sure about at the time. I didn't know a lot about, but trusted him, and to Aero's benefit, it's worked. He's gone through 3 shoeing cycles with them on, and substantial growth and sole depth. He's a lot more comfortable, but now we're at the position where I'm wanting to do more with him. He's being toned down in paddock, so with the ground the way it is at the moment, I wanted something to give him a bit more grip on the surface, so we've opted for the former hoof to try, which looks brilliant. Just got to wait and see to see whether or not it's suitable for him going forward, but at the moment he's comfortable, he's happy walking, so he can continue to go out on his normal routine.
It's a moment of truth now when he turns around. He's walking all right there.
Okay, so you've just seen us applying the former hoof. We're just finishing off now. He's back in his stable. You've just seen him walking up and down, and he's made great improvements in these, but it is a big change to what he had on. So we're going to give him a little bit of time, and we'll check back in with Aero in a couple of weeks and see how he's getting on. But if you come and have a little closer look here now, he's got a nice sort of finish to the former hoof. made his feet a little bit more of a pair. He's bigger on his right foot, so hopefully these will keep a nice angle and he'll be nice and comfortable in them. We've not damaged the wall in any way. We haven't applied any screws or any nails, so really protecting that wall and hopefully stimulating a bit of growth. So I look forward to seeing what these feet are like in a couple of weeks. Thanks for watching.